What's up, YouTube family? How you doing? This is the most chillest nigga in the world, Kofi BARAKA. And right now, you're in Kofi BARAKA's world. As you can tell, I'm grounding. It's a nice day. It's like 62 degrees out here. Got my little fleece jacket, you know what I mean? Gotta get some grounding in. I'm trying to get as much grounding. I'm doing more than I normally do. Usually in December I stop and I wait for warm days. So I guess I did that this time. You know what I mean? But today, while we're here and while I have your ear, I wanted to talk about Aboriginal male roles or Aboriginal man roles. You know what I mean? Being an Aboriginal man or being an Aboriginal woman, being an Aboriginal brother or sister. You know what I mean? We have roles, and we've been had roles because this is all of our land. We've been grounded here for 10,000 years. We've been here in this country when Ari Barker Musa came, Mansa Musa older brother, who was the emperor of Mali during I believe the 12th century and 13th century. I might be off by a century, but I believe he was around that time, and how he had 2 voyages in his lifetime. He had one voyage where they had over like 60, 70 boats go out, and I think he had another one with almost the same amount of number in terms of maybe 50, 60 boats that went to North America, went to the land of North America. And of course, the ships, I think one ship came back, but all the ships stayed in America. It got so bad, he left. I say that to say that every Aboriginal person, their role always changes. Mansa Musa, it was rumored that he was looking for his brother during the gold pilgrimage, when he was passing out gold, and when gold had a crazy inflation, and it went through a deflation, then it went through an inflation, then another inflation. You know what I mean? If you look back, now this is a different segue. If you look at the Aboriginal people in the 1860s and 1870s and 1880s in terms of the males, their jobs was to take care of the horse, to repair the homes, to cook at will, to cut wood, to help the grounds, to protect the family. You know what I mean? To do husbandry in terms of if they ate meat, to raise the animals, the cattle, to milk the cattle. You know what I mean? To get the eggs and all that other stuff. Naturally, when they said that we weren't Native Americans no more, and we had to be Africans so we could stay on the land that we were at, that's when we had the Trail of Tears. And that's when we went to the West Coast with our other brothers who was already on the West Coast. We was like, fuck it. It's almost like when you're in the hood and something happens to your crib and you move to your cousin's house across town. Well, not the same thing, but the same idea. You know what I mean? Because that was a long ass walk, and for someone to force you off your home, there's no comparison. Let's fast forward. Let's go to the 1900s. Let's go 1905, 1925. Back in this time, now you got the Aboriginal man, he's farming. You got the Aboriginal man, he's working on cars. He's a chauffeur, he's driving cars, he's driving horses, he's taking care of horses. You know what I mean? He might be bordering in terms of his house. He might have an extra room that he built that when celebrities come in town or people that are famous, you know, in the chicklet circuit or whatever, they'll come to his crib. And he would make sure that they got food, warm water, you know what I mean? They got somewhere safe to stay, somewhere, something to eat properly, and somewhere that they can just kind of rest, iron their clothes, chill, and get ready for the next performance. Let's fast forward. The Aboriginal man in the 40s and 50s, now he's up north, or he's in a city area. Now he's near factories. His education level is probably like a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th grade. It depends on where he came from, and it depends on his family financial situation when he was a kid. Most of the time, these men are giving their whole checks to their wives because either their wives got a better education or their wives know that we can't fuck it up. Their priorities are way stronger. The temptation of alcohol, being up north, drugs, women, gambling, baseball, basketball, it's a lot of clubs, shit. What do you call it? Dance halls. All these things were new to the Aboriginal man. There's a lot of distractions. And his role constantly changed. Let's get to the 70s and 80s now. So now the Aboriginal man has a college education, if not a high school education. His wife has the same, if not better. Now we're talking about the man, they're not cooking, they might barbecue. They're not cleaning the house per se, but they clean the outside. They role change. These men are not giving their checks to their wives. These men are paying the bills and they giving their wives maybe allowances, or their wives is giving them some money, etc., giving the husband allowances at times. But during that generation, that Aboriginal man was a plan. Like, they was gonna make it one way or another. They were gonna hustle, and they've been hustling forever. So it's just like every decade or so, the Aboriginal man role changes. And it's just like, now it's changed again, and we don't even know it. So my biggest thing is to be ahead of the game, to know like what's the big change or transition in terms of being an Aboriginal. Because, the white man never gonna tell you, and he shouldn't, because that's not his role. But at the same token, it will never be how it was before. It will always evolve. It will always change. And I know that. The biggest thing is having your people know that it's changing. You don't think the Aboriginal man in the 30s and 40s, you think he wanted his kid to go up north? No, he wanted his kid to stay on that land and be like a sharecropper almost, because that was the best that they can get. But that next generation of 40 and 50 say, nah, we gotta go up north. The same way the generations from 70s and 80s, like, nah, we gotta go to college. Now we gotta get a white collar job. Like my generation. Now we gotta get 25, 30, 35 bucks an hour. We need benefits. We need to be in a good neighborhood so our kids can have the best education, if not private school, if not homeschool. Everything changes. Our diet changed as the Aboriginal. I think we're going back to our original diet. Like, we have the high alkaline diet, which I'm probably going to talk about that in our next episode 15, season 4 of Kofi BARAKA's World. I'm probably going to talk about alkaline diets, having an alkaline diet. You know what I mean? I almost stepped in some shit. I did that last week. That was a horrible situation. But no, the next episode is going to talk about alkaline diet, having an alkaline diet. And we have to have an alkaline diet because that's how we stop the diabetes, high blood pressure. That's how we stop the strokes. Niggas eating what they want to eat, and then they can't walk the same no more. They can't talk the same no more. Man, that's life. That's like 75% of your life. For what? Drinking this Coca-Cola products, and it got all these poisons in it. Coca-Cola getting sued all over the world damn near. You go to, I can't even remember, I think it's South Korea, North Korea, you can't even drink that bitch. That's like having a heroin needle in the police department or in a police station and being a nigga. You know what I mean? But now our roles are constantly changing. And we're getting back to one, like the generation before, they didn't ground on purpose. They might have ground because they had no choice, because their good shoes were their good shoes, and they're like, if I'm not wearing my good shoes, I just wear my feet. You know what I mean? But it's just like, or I'd be barefooted. But our position is always changing and evolving, and it's gonna be a position that they're gonna need Aboriginal people, or we're gonna be in a business where it's just us, and we'll be doing that for 30, 40 years, and then they'll come up with a way to to sabotage it. The same way they sabotage factories for black people, black men, from the 50s to the 90s, and how they made it automated and international. They did that because there was a lot of black men that was taking care of their families, taking care of their homes, daughters going to college, sons going to college, sons got a family, son got the summer home that y'all used to have, the daughter has the home y'all used to have, y'all move into a retirement community, which is nice, and still might have a kid live with you in the retirement place in the second room. Or the kid gets his own place. And it's just like everyone's free, everyone is independent, everyone's still Aboriginal. But our roles change so much now. I can't speak for women. I can't speak for sisters. I can't speak for the queens, but I can speak for the kings, the males, because that's what I am. And I seen it through my dad. You know what my dad told me? I'm being for real. This is my father. I'm going to talk about my dad right now. My dad worked all his life. I'm talking about from 3 to now. He's like 74 now. He worked for 71 years of his life. That's all he knows is work. Sometimes his fun time is work. And I'm not bullshitting. Like he'll put some music on, pay some bills. Like that was my father. My dad got an award from his job one time. My dad worked at his job 36, 37 years. The same age as me. He worked at place for 36, 37 years. Never made a mistake. Never was late. Never missed a day. He never missed a day that wasn't accounted for. The only time, if he missed a day, is if he went on vacation. So they knew that he wasn't coming in that day and he still got paid. Man, they let my dad go. One mistake. My dad told me to my face, he was like, son, please spend time with your wife, spend time with the babies, because that's something that I missed. I looked up, my daughter was this age. I looked up, she graduated from college. I don't know who she is. She don't know who I am to a certain degree. And if my dad wasn't a great father, my dad still spent the time with the kids. He still broke the rules. And he still told me, like, nah, man, try to make money, help your family, help us. But at the same token, please be with your family during this time. Please be with your wife. Please be with your son. Be with your daughter. Be with your family. Because that's the most impartial thing you can do right now. And that was the most wisest thing my dad ever told me, man. Because it was some real shit, man. I see my grandfather, my great-grandfather, he was a sharecropper. And my great-grandfather worked in a factory for 46 and a half years. Never was late. Never missed a day, for real, for real. That's the blood that I come from. But I know that I can't work at no factory for 46 and a half years. I know I can't work no job for 30 years. So it's up to my generation to come up, which is looking like business. That we start our own businesses, our own conglomerates, and have our own networks, and just make all the money together. And once we're done, we give it to our daughters, we give it to our sons, and they do the same thing, the next generation, until it gets out of style. All right? I love you. This is the bonus episode of Kofi Baraka's World. Have a good one. Peace.